Morning, Ron.
Steve, mighty fine to see you.
Hey, Alan. Boom, got her.
This antenna is called an MFJ big ears. And the big ears comes from, obviously, the wide separation of the two elements. It's an interesting design from MFJ. It's a variant of one of their very popular verticals that was ground mounted. This one is elevated. It has two elements, one for radiating, the other for perhaps reflecting. I'll have to ask Martin Jew, K5MFJ, about that. But we have terrific hopes for its performance because it worked well for Don K5DB in activating NPOTA areas, national parks on the air a couple of years ago, all around the state of Arkansas.
And what bands is it good for?
Well, that's a good question. I think it will actually operate on all bands 80 through 10, but for purposes of field day, we'll probably maximize our use of 40 and 20, perhaps 15. But I think he's going to lock it down on 20 meters because this will be for the Get on the Air or GOTA station that we'll utilize for putting members of the general public, new hams, allow just about anybody to get on the air with a supervised licensee and give them an opportunity of getting their feet wet on HF. Get on the air antenna.
That was the hard part.
Hey, guys. Man.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
What's
up, man? Didn't see you at breakfast. Didn't see you at breakfast either.
I had breakfast here. They had sandwiches here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you hadn't
I
made it
came by
several weeks,
just to-
and we just figured, well, she's not going to make it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Hope they're using them little silver discs. Don't even need dry stakes and that. Just tying to the trees. Good.
The angle would be better.
Yeah, it's ideal.
Sometimes I don't think out the box all the time.
Well, all I can say is the poor guy's got poor guy's ways, you know.
for anybody's up there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Antenna top.
What needs to be on the
Oh, well,
radio?
let's see here.
You got a feed line for it, Don?
Yeah. This part of it, yes.
Not the part on the
This is my NPO. This is my NPOTA antenna.
Who?
He didn't take it to Claremore.
Well, they had them set.
Oh, I don't know. Get a picture of Jeremy. Hold it.
Hey, barrel connector to
Yeah.
tie these together.
Yep.
16 gauge. Reline
Hey, Steve. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe this, your left, the one on the coil. I think it's, maybe I didn't get I missed one joint getting it out.
Oh, I see. Kind of does look like you missed a joint
Yeah,
there.
shorter.
Well, in that case,
You want me to get up there? I can telescope it back in and then telescope that out and telescope it out.
tell you what, why don't I just lift this off here,
Okay, okay.
and then I'll tilt that down if you want to pull it out.
It's really wobbly.
Is it missing a section?
No.
No?
Yeah, the other one, I think that's about right. It's kind of lopsy, ain't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Reminds me of being an old man. Still not getting
Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you got now?
They got same thing.
Still high SWR? That's what it was before. Wow.
A little higher than you'd like.
Sure is.
And let's go 1 to 30 there. What? Here you go, John.
So Steve, tell me what we just found out with your software.
Oh, we had a bad cable between the antenna and the feed coax that went over to the radio. So
And so that, what did you say that software did?
that's an antenna analyzer. It's what they call a vector network analyzer, a VNA, and it also has a TDR on there, so it can actually send a little pulse down and then look at the reflections. So I can see, for example, that little barrel connector that John's putting into the coax.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Little
That was
blip
about
there.
1 dB drop there or something.
Yeah, I typically get about 4-inch resolution on that. Yeah, it's about 4 inches. Let's scan it now with that guy.
We have here in this tree is a Carolina Wisdom. It'll run pretty much all bands except for 2 meters, UHF and VHF. And it's got a line insulator, and it's probably one of the better dipole antennas that are out there, and we use them quite a bit. So we're going to use this one on CW, or Morse code as it's called. And Don, K5DV, will be running that radio for CW and Morse code. So, and we have 3 of these up, and we'll be putting up another one, which you'll see here in a little later video. Hi.
But anyway, this has kind of a working plan of what we hope to happen. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, we will have 4 on-air stations that will take the air, that will actually go on the air on our HF spectrum between 3.5 megahertz and 30 megahertz. We anticipate probably maximizing our activities during the daytime on 40 and 20 meters. And we have a traditional radio telephony that we call sideband, because we're using a single sideband mode, and that will be operated over here on this bench, and we're utilizing a captain technique this year. Oregon, I should say that Don Banta, K5 Delta Bravo. Are you here, Don? Behind you. There he is, hiding.
Sleeping.
Don is organized stations by captains. And Don, come up here, and I'd like for you to introduce your captain and get the kind of an overview of the on-air activities.
Hello. The four stations are FT8, which is the digital, that's down there. Paul, KK5II, is the captain of that station. If you want to try your hand at, if you've never worked FT8, he'll coach you through it a little bit and turn it over to you. You can watch for a while, or whatever you want to do there. That's going to be the way it's going to be for most all the stations. Tom, W5XNA, he's the captain of the phone sideband station right here. He'll probably kick it off, and if you've never operated field day, you might watch and see how that works, and then you can even log a little bit. The logging program we use is really easy. And then we have the, push pin came out and it's upside down. The GOTA station, Nick, W85BDU, is the captain there. The GOTA,
explain what GOTA is.
GOTA is an acronym for Get on the Air. If you want to whether you're licensed or unlicensed, if you want to sit down and make a contact, Nick will help you do that. You can make a live contact with another station somewhere in the U.S. or Canada this weekend. And he's using, that station's running this antenna on the mast out here. I ran that 3 years ago for National Parks on the Air, and that's a honey of a little antenna right there. So we use a different call sign for the GOTA station. That's the rules that the ARRL sets up, but it doesn't make any difference. You can still enjoy talking to somebody on voice. And the last station is in that tent over there. That's the CW station.
Which stands for?
Continuous wave, which is the ham radio vernacular for Morse code. Even though some of, maybe most of you don't know the code, you can still come and sit down and listen to the dots and dashes. And when we send a message, it puts it on the computer screen so you can see what we're saying to them. And then when they talk back to us, we'll enter that information in the log so you can see what they're saying back to us. And I guess that's about it.
Welcome, everybody.
Oh, yeah, it's good to have y'all. I'm kind of tired. That even started, yeah.
Don's field day experience started with hanging the wire antennas yesterday afternoon with the help of several of you.
Oh, it wasn't just Don, I had help. Ooh, boy,
but
thanks.
he got a special feature from field day while he was literally sleeping on one of these park benches last night, and one of Bella Vista's finest shined his light in his face. Sir? Don can tell that story a lot better than I can, but Don did due diligence to keep all of our gear safe and prevent pilfering, vandalism, theft, etc. by spending the night here last night. So let's hear it for our field day chairman, Don. There'll be some extra jewels in your crown one of these days, Don.
I gotta get the crown first.
The time is approximately 12:30. At 1300, as we say, for 1 o'clock local, our on-air operations commence with all four stations, and we've got some exceptional operators. Will all of you guys who are capable of operating phone, digital, Morse code, and assist with the GOTA, get on the air station, raise your hand so that everybody can see who you are. All right. Now, I didn't see your hand, Tom, but it's probably my fault. Raise Tom Northfeld, W5XNA, who lives in Fayetteville, is a recently retired public school teacher from the Springdale school system. That's after 25 years with the Chicago Police Department. So when you get a chance, make sure you get acquainted with Tom, whether you're interested in operating the sideband station or not. Nick Kennedy is one of my oldest friends from my earliest years in the hobby. I'm reluctant to tell everybody that that was 1962. But Nick and I were among a group of teenagers who talked with one another before and after school, and any other time our parents would allow, or we could get away with it. We were on the air with one another. That was on AM and primarily on Morris code, which you heard Don explain is what we call CW, or continuous wave. And let's see, Paul, where is Paul? Paul is in the yellow shirt back there, and Paul is the gentleman who Don explained a moment ago, is in charge of the digital station. Nick is in charge of the GOTA station. So don't be shy. If you're a new ham, a newer ham, a prospective ham, or just wondering what the heck is going on, this radio that Nick brought is one of the finest radios in the country. It's an Elecraft K3, which doesn't mean anything to you, but just know that this is an American-made radio, and its value is in the thousands, and it is an outstanding radio. I can't believe we've got it allocated to the GOTA station. Stan Stockton just is a late arrival. Stan, raise your hand. Stan is literally a world-class contester, and he not only built one of the world's finest contest radio stations on a mountaintop called Mount Gaither, southwest of Harrison, 15 or so years ago, has since disassembled it and is now operating from a cool location that he has on Cayman Brac in the Cayman Islands of the Caribbean. And Stan has competed in the what we call WRTC. Give me what does that stand for? World Radio Team Championship competition internationally, and has been a judge internationally. So if there's anything relating to any type of radio operating or in antennas, Stan is an absolute expert. There's very few people that I would legitimately call an expert on very many topics, but as it relates to operating and antennas, Stan and his son Kevin, N5DX, who has his dad's call sign when his dad became a silent key and lives in Rogers. These guys are phenomenal, and you really grace us with your presence today, Stan. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll get a couple of interesting demonstrations of Stan's operating ability this afternoon while he's with us. Coming up at 1 o'clock we go on the air, and as soon as I conclude, we want to have a little huddle-up session, perhaps over here in the shade by the banners, for all of the operators. We'd like to take about 5-6 minutes and discuss operating strategy. And at 2 o'clock this afternoon, Mayor Peter Christie, Mayor of Bella Vista, is to be here and read the Amateur Radio Week proclamation for the city of Bella Vista live for us, and then we're going to replicate it on repeater, on the Bella Vista 2-meter repeater and on the Northwest Arkansas link system. So that should be an interesting element coming up at 2 o'clock. And we also have one of our friends from KNWA, the NBC affiliate here in Northwest Arkansas, who's just shown up. So hope you wore your name tag and put your best face on for the television camera. Also want to, that was just a fan, fortunately. I was hoping it wasn't a computer monitor. Bella Vista Moments. Bella Vista Moments. Anyway, we might, if everything works out correctly, Nick, let Mayor Christie see if he can make a contact on the get on the air station, which will be kind of interesting. We're going to go all night tonight, 24 hours. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. As most of you know, there are thunderstorms and thunder showers that are possible. I think 30 to 40% probability, depending on which media that you saw last. Joe Hott, W5 Alpha. W5AEN. Come up here.
What's that?
Joe is a new Arkansan, roughly a little over a year. Joe moved down from Illinois, and his call was Whiskey Delta 9er Alpha Echo November, and has changed his call to grace us with W5AEN. And Joe is the gentleman who brought his solar and battery setup from the award-winning commercial enterprise known as Harbor Freight